Did you think it was a slow-mo? Wankers.
Do you know when it called love, when two become one? And I felt like a boom in your arms, I called home. Do you know when it called love, when two become one? And
Welcome back to episode 2, Campaign Carper. Yes! Helga has to be around the corner. The temperatures are pucker. I think we're on, I don't know why I'm looking down there. I was looking for my phone for the date. I think we're on the 21st, 22nd or something like that, February. So we're going to be getting temperatures of around 14, 15 degrees in the day. 9, 10 at night, so conditions are perfect. We've got a nice southwesterly, which is going to be turning to a southerly, southeasterly, and then back to a southwesterly. I would have liked to have been over in the other bay, but we've got someone fishing over there, or into that bay. I would have liked to be on the end of that wind, with it being so warm, but you can't always get where you want to fish. So, yeah, really looking forward to this session. We've got Dexter, fishing dog here. He's every session I've been on with Dexter so far, which is only 2. I've had really good sessions, some of the best winter sessions I've had, so yeah, hopefully he can bring me Helga and then I can be done here. And then got a few ideas where I'm going to start my next campaign, but it's not set in stone yet. But yeah, I think I'll be looking forward to getting off here now, if I can. Come on, Helga. Right, so spots that I'm looking at. I've got one down in this corner, quite shallow water, about 3-4 foot, south-facing bank. We've got some really good temperatures coming in, like 13, 14, even up to 15 degrees in the day, and then staying around 9, 10 on the night. So that spot there did me 4 fish a couple of weeks ago, start of Feb. I'm gonna place one there. I did fish on that corner spot a couple of weeks ago and picked up a couple of fish off that. That being said, we've got a guy called Foggy there, and what I've decided to do, he's got a diesel generator. Now, I've got nothing against diesel generators, but they do cause a vibration, and I just don't want to be too close to that. Maybe it'll make a difference, maybe it won't, I don't know, but confidence levels, I feel like I won't be confident with that spot. So just here, this would be an old swim from when it was the days only day ticket, but either side of that, here and here, there's those trees have got overhanging branches that are just dipping into the water. So I've pre-baited, or stuck some bait in earlier on, just between those 2 overhanging branches basically. And then the third spot is just on the end of the point there. So again, there's a willow tree there. It's got some branches overhanging into the water, so I've put a few maggots and casters there, and I'll put one there, but I've got to pop out in about half an hour now for an hour. So hopefully this rain stops that's just started. I'll be able to get them rods out. Does feel a little bit chilly at the minute, but yeah, temperatures are going to be picking up soon, so I'm hoping for a good session. Right, so on this session I'm fishing inline leads. Now there's a very good reason for that, and the reason is I only brought inline leads by accident.
Never ever chance to take us down. They try to turn our voice into a whisper. We're resting against time tonight. They gotta hold their armies and some into curriculums like flies. And we're running for our lives, fast like the blizzard. We never have a chance today.
Right, as I've got a long fluorocarbon leader, because it's so wiry, you want to be stretching your line out every session. So what I've done is I've got a bivvy peg right down there. I've tied a figure of 8 loop on the end of my line. No lead on there or lead clip or anything like that, just bare line. I'm going to run this line out now to the bivvy peg. I'm going to bring it back with the bail arm open, and I'm going to stretch my line. This is going to help keep my line straight and keep it pinned on the bottom. What I also do then is put my rod on the floor, go and take it off of the bivvy peg. Fucking hell. Oh, I'll leave that in. Take it off the bivvy peg and then just reel the line in across the ground. That way that gets rid of any line twist that you've got on it as well. Right, so now, as you will see, when it's slack, that line just runs nice and straight. So that's the benefits of stretching out your line up. I would do it with mono as well. If it curls up too much on the spool. But yeah, should always stretch, especially fluorocarbon, always stretch it out before your session. So last night and this morning have not been eventful carp-wise, but have been sort of eventful, and I've managed to pick up some information. My rubbish bag's blowing on the side of the bivvy if you can hear it. The wind's picked up quite considerably now. So 1 o'clock this morning I had an occurrence of a duck picking me up. It's got me all excited. And then 8 o'clock this morning I ended up hooking a duck. So my theory of maggots and casters not attracting ducks down the Swanee. But I did put quite a bit out yesterday of maggots and casters. A lot more than I was last time. I was only putting a little handful in. I got all excited with the mild weather coming in. And yeah, that seemed to work against me. That being said, the ducks and the swan that's been feeding on another spot indicates to me that there's no fish have been visiting the spot. And coupled with no liners, I just don't think there's fishing numbers in this bag at the minute. Haven't got the option to move into the other bag. We've got foggy in there. I've got the open section of the lake that I could possibly move into, but I haven't seen anything to warrant that. Although this time of year you don't really see much. To be fair, I haven't seen anybody fish the open section of the lake. I did have one rod sort of in mid-water on the last session, which didn't come to anything. But it would mean putting rods on the back of this warm wind. So I don't know. My gut's telling me that that's not the right move to do. But you never know unless you try. What I am thinking of, or what I am swaying more towards, is getting a bit of a mix together. Boilie crumb, maggot caster, some Himalayan rock salt. I've got some seeded plum from bank bait gravy somewhere. Getting a mix together, maybe getting some liquids in there and trying to draw fish into my area. Now, it's not normally my normal way of fishing, but when you're on a small lake you're a little bit limited on what you can do. Normally like to move to where the fish are. My gut is with the southwesterly that's been on and it being warm, that pushed into the other bay. I did speak to Foggy, who's fishing in the other bay yesterday. He said he had one yesterday morning. Don't know about this morning. I did see his light on last night. So whether he had one last night, I don't know. We've also had quite a big fluctuation in weather. It was down to like freezing last week, and then all of a sudden now we're up to, I'm just keeping an eye on the dog, and all of a sudden now we're up to like 15 degrees in the day, 10 degrees at night. And it's only just switched yesterday onto that, so it may take a day or two, a night or two for them to settle down. So I've done my first night of free, so I've still got plenty of time. My gut's telling me to do the mix and stick to my spots, but what I'm going to do is drag them a bit further away from the margin, keep them out of the swan's depth at the very least, because you don't want to be up in that. It's a big male swan. And then go from there, maybe give it another night, see if anything happens, and then maybe adjust if needed. I think Foggy goes tomorrow, so I could have another night in the other bay, possibly if no one turns up. But we'll have to see. Fucking at it again and all. Oh, Donald Duck. You can have this one if you want. Oh! Let him go. Let him go. It's your own fault, mate. Off he goes. Right, so after having a talk with Foggy, who's over in the other bay, he hasn't caught anything this morning either. It's making me think that they're sitting on the back of the wind, and he's showed me a spot which is in the more open area in the deeper water what helgas come off a few times. So got me thinking and swaying me towards the open spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something I haven't seen being done in here before. I'm going to put 3 on a spot. So I'll get the marker rod out, I'll have a little feel around that area, what he's told me about, pop the float up, and then I'm going to put a bit of a bed of bait down. I'm going to get loads of attraction in there, oils, sweet sauces from bank bait, seeded plum bait gravy, which I'll show you. And I'm going to put 3 rods for the next 24 hours over a bed of bait and see if we can get any reaction that way. So got a load of seeded plum bank bait, seeded plum from bank bait, boilie crumb. What I'm going to do is in a separate bucket, as I'm putting bait out, I'm going to put it in a separate bucket. So I put the boilie crumb in. I'm going to have casters, maggots. So just start this mix up. So I'm going to get a good amount. For a good bed in there. Got some. Where's that gone now? 1 second. So, bait gravy, seeded plum bait gravy from bank bait. Get that in there. What I've done with this is I boiled the kettle and I've just had it resting on top of the kettle. It is really thick and hard to get out, so if you just put it rest on the kettle after you boiled it, it does thin up a little bit. This one hasn't got as much as thinner as I've liked. That. Let me see if I can get that camera a bit better positioned. So, bait gravy in there, got Himalayan rock salt, which the fish love. They eat it, so I've heard, to get the parasites off them, of which they will have a lot on, a lot of leeches especially now. So we'll get that in there. Hemp oil, great in cold conditions. Got some fruity sweet sauce from bank bait. I'll just put a little dribble of that in there, just to get a bit more of that liquid attraction in. And then I think this one is, this is the only carp, signature range British berry, made by bank bait, sold by only carp. We get a bit of that in there. I'll do is every time I'm baiting up, at first I'm going to put quite a bit in. But after every fish I'll put more in and I'll mix it up as I'm going. Because either the casters will go bad and the maggots will go everywhere. The maggots will be the last thing to go in. So, a couple of handfuls of casters. And that's going to be the base of the mix. And what I'll do just before I put this out, I'll put a few maggots in because they'll start crawling everywhere. That'll be a nightmare. And then I'll find my spot with the marker rod, pop the float up, and I'll get this out on the spot and I'll fish through on the spot. Let's see how that goes.
We take it down. Let's spice it up, baby, right here and now. Hey, nothing could be better. So high up in the clouds, there's me and us forever. Can't nothing bring us down. Oh, roller coaster. Roller coaster ride, hands up in the sky, take you for a ride, love to feel the high.
Right, so there's the marker. So I'm in about 9.5, 10 foot of water. To the right I'm getting sort of light gravel. Even further right I'm getting good dinks on the marker rod and I'm pulling it back. To the left of that I'm going into like light silt. So I think where my marker rod is going to be my right hand rod, and yeah, that'll be the right hand rod, and then I'll go to the left with the middle and the left hand rod. Quite tight. So I just thought something I haven't shown before is how I set up my marker rod. So I've got a thinner braid on my main, on the spool as my main line. This gives me casting distance. I think it's £15, I can't remember. It's been a few years since it's been on. And then in order to take the force of the cast, if I am casting long distance, is I use a shock leader, which is a £50 sinking shock leader from Gardner. So how I attach this to the main line is 2 back-to-back grinner knots. So if you're not sure on a grinner knot, just look up how to do a grinner knot, and then you're just basically doing 2 of those. So there's the 2, and then I'll pull them together like that. Pull everything nice and tight, and get your scissors. Trim them off, and that'll give you a nice little knot. Trim it off a bit tighter if you want, as tight as you can really, it's all bedded in now. So yeah, so that'll give you a nice little knot, which will pass through the rings nice and easy. So what I'll do is I'll reel a rod length off of this, and then probably 5 turns on the spool. plus my swing back. So yeah, work that out. So you want to get it a good rod length with your swing back, and then do it another 5 turns onto the reel to simplify it. Right, so as we're fishing 3 on a spot, we've got a lot of small items out there now, bits of boilie crumb, obviously the maggots, the casters, but I've put quite a bit out. What I want to do is try and smallen the baits up basically. I don't want that big half an 18mm on anymore. So this is how they'll sit on the deck. This is a half a 12mm dumbbell pop-up from Bank Bait, seeded plum flavour. 3 different colours, favourite orange on there and yellow. Oh, my box looks grubby, really grubby. So as I've been getting all this sorted, finding a spot, baiting up, redoing rods, the temperature's actually rose considerably. The sun's come out and the wind's warm now, whereas the wind was cold before. So that south-facing bank where I was fishing to actually looks real good at the moment, but I'm going to stick to my guns for 24 hours and stick to that deeper spot on the back of the wind. Hopefully it might happen in the night time for me. We've got hemp oil in the mix, so I can keep watching for slicks which will indicate feeding fish. Also, I think with the benefit of being on the back of the wind, any scent that's in the water is going to be pushed downwind in a sense, so may attract fish to the spot, but we'll have a look. If it's no good by tomorrow lunchtime, we'll have another change. As you can see, the sun is shining, the weather is sweet, which makes me feel horrible about my 3 on the spot on the back of the wind at the moment. Makes that south-facing bank look very appetising. I've only been out for an hour. Oh dear, Kieran. Do I pull a rod out and put it over here? I'm gonna have a good look at the weather, see what we're expecting tomorrow. That sun will be down in the next hour or so behind those trees, I reckon. So yeah, we'll have a look at what the weather's saying for tomorrow. I think if we've got sunny spells especially, I think I've got to take a left-hand rod out, not left-hand rod. Get it over there somewhere on that bank. Maybe pull it away. What my original thoughts was, pull it away from the margin into a bit of deeper water. Try and keep it away from the birds. Right, so having a look at the weather for tomorrow. Middle rod. Having a look at the weather for tomorrow. Don't know if that's slicking up. We've still got the southerly winds, southwesterly. Partly cloudy in the morning, but cloud. It says it's cloud after that. So it says it's going to be up again 13, 14 degrees, but feels like 6. So I'm guessing that wind's going to be quite cold. So I'm going to stick to my guns basically. Got 3 on the spot till tomorrow lunchtime, and then reassess whether I'm going to stay there or I'm going to move. That's the plan. That's the final answer.
Somewhere new. We watch the sky fade into the night. With you, my arms, nothing can go wrong. We'll fall asleep on a starlit beach, just us two.
So as you can see, sticking to my guns for 24 hours hasn't quite materialised. So down in this corner, I just heard a massive splash. There was another lad, Jack, up there, just looking into mollies. And we both looked at each other like, wow. So that's the first show I've seen on this lake over the last 3 sessions I've had. So this is where I was last night, just there. This is where the show was, there. So I've just underarmed it. Got a bit of boilie crumb with some casters, so I can just mush it into a ball and underarmed it out. So it might be beneficial just having one rod in here. I'll leave the 2 on that spot. And that spot over there on the back of the wind. And we'll see what happens, but I didn't change any hook baits or anything like that, so we're fishing on the deck. I've just basically pulled, Dex, come! Just basically pulled the rod out, put some foam on it, underarmed it out, felt for a drop. There's a nice drop on there. If there is any shad, it will settle down nicely on it anyway, but yeah, it was a nice firm dunk, so I'm happy with that. Oh, it's got my heart going. So nothing to report from last night, nothing to report this morning. I think Foggy over the way had one about 11 o'clock last night. I haven't spoke to him yet, but yeah, very strange. Not sure what's going on. So we've still got the swan over there diving on spots that hasn't had bait on it. I didn't even put any bait there, to be honest. I put bait there and in the corner, but you see, still seems to be diving down. On something anyway. Would suggest that they're not on the feed, but I think Foggy's had 2. He's definitely had 1 anyway on the Monday morning. I'm tempted just to switch on to singles, high vises and singles. See if I can pick one up that way. But yeah, we're on about 11 o'clock now. I'm going to reel in at 12, pop to the shop, have a good think about it. What was that? So yeah, I've seen no activity over this spot. I did put the 3 rods on and then moved one last night. So I don't think it warrants me keeping any rods on that. I feel like high vises, high attract, single hook baits. A good couple of rod lengths off the margins, just to keep away from the swan. And as best away from the ducks I can. I think that'll be the route. I think I've been very undecisive in this session, and I think a big mistake was putting a bit too much bait in at the start. I should have fished it the same as how I've been fishing it, just small amounts. But yeah, this mild weather got me all excited. So yeah, it's a mistake by me. I think you're better off pulling it in, putting bits in at a time, and upping your bait rate if you want to, if you're catching. As that saying goes, once you put it in, you can't get it out. Right, so I've decided to go with my tactical change. Managed to dig out some normal leads after a bit of rooting around, so I can get back onto my leg clip system. I don't think it's made any difference so far, but because I've got this stiff boom section here, I don't want an inline lead really with that. I want to make sure I've got some movement. So 25 pound fluorocarbon stiff boom, big bit of putty there to keep the chod section pinned down, and the chod's quite high. These are just going to be going out on singles, just for passing fish really. Hopefully swimming over the top and it just catches their eye and they have a mouthful. So all 3 are going to go on this. I've got one on pink seeded plum, one on pineapple orange, one on my favourite orange tutti frutti. All high attract, all high visual, all from bank bait. What I am going to do is I'm going to pull it a good couple of rod lengths away from the margin spots. Try and minimise the risk of getting picked up by birds if I can. So this will be me. I've got another 24 hours left. This will be me, make or break.
Do you know when it called love, when to become one? And I felt like a boom in your arms, I called home. Do you know when it called love?
Right guys, that's the end of that session. And I wasn't planning on getting you a blank in on episode 2, but here we are. As soon as the weather turns good, I'll start catching. What can I say about this session? I don't think as many. I think the fish held up mostly on the southwesterly wind. Foggy, who was over the way from me, he ended up having 3 fish in the end. He'd done really well. I did see 2 shows in my bay, but liners was near enough non-existent. I had a few liners last night after I put those stiff hinges on that I thought might materialise into something, but never did. So yeah, started off with the same tactics which I was doing good with in the last 2 sessions. I The only other thing I did is I put more in than I did previously in the last 2 sessions. I think that was a mistake. That drew the bird life in, and sort of ruined the spots that I wanted to fish. It was overexcitement for the mild weather that's coming in. Well, that had come in, or is still here, which was a mistake. I should have started exactly the same as I did before, just a very small handful, and just fishing for a bite at a time. I was having like the roulette wheel thing where I was thinking I'm going to have a mega session of hauling 10 fish including helga, and that was a mistake. I tried to come on the back of the wind, because the wind, even though the air temperature said it was 15 degrees, it did say it felt like 8 degrees on the app, and in that wind, even now in the wind, it still feels quite cold. So I did try and come on the back of the wind, to no success at all. The next day I can't remember what those birds are called now. They're a bit like coots, sort of. I've got white, black and white, but yeah, they was diving down on that spot, so nothing had visited there. During yesterday, after my first 48 hours, I don't know if the camera was going to fall over there. After the first 48 hours, still had the swan, tufties and that diving on the original spots that I had, which obviously led me to the conclusion that nothing's been eaten, which would suggest that the fish wasn't in my area. Now, a move wasn't possible with Foggy in the other bay. He did go last night, but he went quite late. It was into darkness, so there was no way I was moving last night. I was just put those stiff hinges on in the hope of a passing fish, really. Stiff hinges on singles, high attract, just something that's going to catch their eye and they're going to mouth at it. That's what I was hoping for, but that didn't materialise. And that's fishing, I guess. But a lesson learned: don't get overexcited when you get a mild spell. Alright, hope you enjoyed it. See you later.